early 20s, multiple six-figure income earner, has built businesses in pretty much all over the world. Young entrepreneur, Kish, how you doing, bro?
Very good, Chris. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great. So pretty much, why don't you show the world and tell everyone, who Kish is and what he's all about?
Cool. Well, what's going on, everybody? My name's Kish. I'm 22 years old, from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I am an entrepreneur. Got into entrepreneurship at the age of 19 years old. I always knew I wanted, something more, something unusual, if you will, or something that put me into what I saw as a young child or a young kid, and I'm still pretty young, as above, not above, but just winning. I wanted to win, right? And when I saw people winning at a young age, I never thought that these people had something that I didn't, or that these people were blessed with some sort of gift that I didn't have. So when I saw first the network marketing opportunity, I saw the ability for me to come in and choose my value, get into a game where, depending on, what I did, how much I worked, the amount of development as an individual, and the amount of value that I added to myself that I could then add to other people on the market, I could get paid on. And I hit the ground running. Since then, I've made multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars. And this year, at the age of 22, I'll break my first 7 figures earned.
Wow, 7-figure income earner, 22 years old.
I'll break 7 figures this year for my first time.
Hey, that's phenomenal, dude. That's phenomenal. I mean, I guarantee you, not even a percent of people in the United States can say that they've done that. So that's obviously a huge feat that you've kind of come over. So what's your definition of entrepreneurship? Everyone has a different definition, but what was it that got you into entrepreneurship?
Well, my definition of entrepreneurship has changed. At first, it was just building a business and making money.
Right.
And now it's become putting yourself in a position where you can supply some sort of service or supply some sort of value to people. And in doing that, they exchange your money for the service or the value. But I look at entrepreneurship as like a vehicle to freedom, or a way to take control, and based off of what you create, what you can provide, and what you build, the ability to not have a boss, not have a job, not have hours. And if you want to raise, you can improve what it is that you sell or what it is that you make or provide to an unlimited level. So.
No, definitely. I feel like the reason why a lot of, especially young people today are becoming entrepreneurs is because they're controlling their own income. They're controlling their own life. And I feel like, in a time like today where social media is exploding, a lot of people are hopping on board and catching that wave where they can, sell things online and do things online and become bigger than themselves. When it comes to mentorship, really, taking advice from people, are there any people that, you really look to for advice, for mentorship, and really how important is mentorship, in being an entrepreneur?
It's ungodly important. Mentorship, I would say, is right up there with everything. There's a saying that there's no person who's a better teacher than someone who's further along in the same process as you. So as far as mentors that, I have tons of mentors, but a lot of them exist in books. So Napoleon Hill obviously is a mentor of mine, Wallace D. Waddles, and I read a lot. So tons there, Eckhart Tolle, Jim Rohn, all the general, if you will, personal development type stuff. So a lot of my mentorship is through book and audio and study. And then second, recently I've been blessed to be mentored by Bob Proctor. He's someone that I look up to, and someone that, when it comes to clarity or understanding of thought and how, who you are, what you're thinking, how you think about things controls your results. I don't think there's anyone else better in the world than him. So Bob right now, and Bob Proctor right now, and then books.
Right. Anything that, because I know you just spent the weekend with Bob Proctor, or the past couple, this past month, I know that you and him have been, obviously together. What's kind of the most important thing that you've learned from Bob this past month?
That, wow. To pick one thing is tough, but I would say one of the top things is that goals are for growing and not getting. So identifying what you really want and cultivating that and really, crystallizing exactly what you want, which is something that you or me don't necessarily choose. It's something that for some reason we want what we want, and what people want is completely different usually. And tuning into that, and that's really the starting point of all success. So like the desire for what you want, and then knowing that you don't chase the money. You don't think about how you can get to this point and like obsess over that. You obsess over how you can provide more service and provide more value, which 98% of the time has to do with how you provide more of you or develop more of yourself. And, I told him, I was like, I get it, Bob, I get it. And he's like, you'll never get it. You never get there. He's like, this growth and this, it never stops. It's an eternal process, if you will, or something that you don't reach like a finish line where, oh, I'm there now. It's a constant growth process where, if you're making $500,000 a year and you're stuck at $500,000 a year, that's almost the same thing as being stuck at $30,000 a year. If you're stuck, you're stuck. And there's always more room for growth. And the human nature is always for expansion. It's never for recession. So it's, that was a few points, but I would say the main thing is a goal is for getting or for growing and not getting. And the focus needs to be not on the money or your numbers or, a sales sheet or, any structure or anything like that, but just how can I be increasing my ability and making what I have to offer at a higher scale? If I continue to grow in that sense, the money naturally has to come because it's a better service. You have better service, higher quality, higher quantity. People exchange their dollars for it.
I agree. I think one thing that I personally learned from you is that you still always say, focus on the vision and the numbers will come. Don't worry about the numbers right now, but you got to focus on the vision where you want to go. Obviously your goal and the numbers are going to, eventually come. Now Let's take it pretty much all the way back when you were 19, when you became an entrepreneur. Obviously there are times where, you decide where you question yourself. There's a lot of times, especially in an entrepreneur's life, where, they question themselves whether they, are doing the right thing. People are not, obviously bashing them and stuff like that. Is there any points where, you were like, you know what, this is tough, but I know that there's something at the end of this?
Definitely. When I first got started, I wasn't sure. And then after about a year and a half, I went through like a down period, if you will. But it was all part of the process. I think any good entrepreneur goes through ups, they go through downs. And in order to really build a sturdy foundation, you got to test yourself and you got to go through some stuff that's going to, it's going to test Goozy, it's going to test me, it's going to test everyone. And that's part of building the foundation moving forward. But yeah, there were definitely points where I was questioning everything really.
Definitely. I feel like, a lot of entrepreneurs do. Now, like, when was the point where you're like, you know what, I can become an entrepreneur for the rest of my life, and this is going to be my career, and I'm going to control my own life?
Every day. It's a thought that I'm continually reinforcing. And I would say just in the last few months, I think like on intellectual level, I understood that, but it never really on a emotional or intuitive level where like I really understand that up until recently. So it's something that I'm currently working on.
Definitely. I agree with that. Now, when it comes to personal growth, I feel like, when people hear personal growth and reading books and stuff like that, they think, oh man, I don't want to read a book. I can go out there and do it. How important is personal development and personal growth? Everyone says you got to work more on yourself than you do on your business, but you can kind of hit on that.
Yeah, man. it's essential. You cannot win. Some people can win unconsciously competent, which is what I was. I made over $500,000 without knowing what I was doing. But in order to really make it, you got to know what you're doing. And that's not going to happen until you start studying start studying your thoughts, start studying the way things work, start studying the way business works, start studying the way, start studying. You got to study. You got to grow. And the law of income, right? It says your income will be in direct proportion with the amount of value you can add to the marketplace. Through books, through reading, through learning, you can add more value. So it's essential.
Definitely. Now, when it comes to building businesses in different countries, I know that you've been traveling pretty much all over the world. What's the best place you've ever been to, whether it's doing business or pleasure because you made enough money to go out there? What's the one place where you're like, wow, like I'm making this thing happen, I'm killing it right now?
Say I like Los Angeles just because I feel like that's where a lot of things happen. So like that's where I'm gonna move within the year. But San Diego is beautiful, Amsterdam, Barcelona. I just like traveling because of the experience that is provided. Meeting different cultures, meeting different kinds of people, seeing different ways of life. It makes you smarter. So I wouldn't really pick one place as like my favorite, but where I want to move to is Los Angeles, just because I feel like it's a great environment for an entrepreneur to be in and have opportunity hitting them all over.
Definitely. All right. We're going to finish off this thing with one last question. The last question is, there's an entrepreneur out there, whether he's young, she's young, he's old, she's old. And, they want a few tips from Luke Kish on how to go out there and have massive success in the entrepreneurship industry.
You got to believe in yourself. You got to be completely independent from people's opinion, right? Success is a minority, and most people will not be thinking in alignment with you. You need to know that on day one. And then you got to work your ass off, right? Nothing's handed to you for free. And the amount of time, the amount of effort, and the amount of like hunger you have to get it will be in direct correlation with your results. So, and then lastly, find a mentor, find someone who's doing what you want, but don't let any one thing prevent you. So people, they want to get an entrepreneurship and they say, oh, once I get this, then I'll get an entrepreneurship, or once this happens, then I'll get an entrepreneurship. And never actually, comes to fruition. So just go, know that you got to start to be great. You don't got to be great to start. Work with whatever you have right now and do the best that you can with what you have right now. That'll get you to the next level and that'll get you noticed. And then from that point, you continue.
Definitely. I like what you said at the end there, where it's like, I feel like a lot of people wait for something to happen in order to become an entrepreneur, in order to start their business. And really, I feel like you just got to go out there and do it. You got to fail, fall on your face, and keep getting up and keep going. And that's what it's all
about. 100%.
Well, Luke, man, thanks for joining us on the BeYOU webinar and podcast. I really appreciate it. Our live interview should be in June, so I'm looking forward to that. And, obviously, congrats on all your success, and it's just the beginning for you. I know that 100%.
You as well, my man. Thank you for having me on.
Have a good one, bro.
Yep.